As it was said by Adrian, really the global warming, the climate change, it's not something that concerns one area of the company. It really concerns everyone at the company. It has to be a collective move. It has to be part of a cultural change. So it is very good that it is always carried by the head of the company. Of course, the solutions will be proposed and made by the different areas, participants, but it has to be at the head of the company, the person who carries the project and who gets this as a major cultural change in the company. So I am very grateful for this invitation because, as if you heard, the subjects that I normally take care in my different conferences or lectures, I have never talked about this subject, even though I really love it. So it put me out of my comfort zone. And it is like this writer who said that life starts when you are out of your comfort zone. I don't know, I don't think my husband agrees, but I do agree. And I'm very happy to share with you my own experience as head of companies that belong to the group Moet Hennessy. And Moet Hennessy is the wines and spirit division of LVMH. So it is very interesting to tell you this journey the same way I lived it. So I started to confront the fact of water problems and issues when I arrived in Argentina. I arrived in Argentina in 2001. And if you remember, 2001 was the beginning of a big crisis. When you are Latin America, the first steps you do in business, you learn how to manage crisis. It's all about crisis everywhere. So I arrived in Mendoza. Mendoza has problems of water. Rain is 200 millimeters. So it is, since 1884, it's a whole system, regulated water. And it is water that comes from the snow that melts in the Andes. Since 20 years, and what is really worrying is the last 5 years, it's been accelerating. The two major issues in Argentina is temperature and, of course, that it's going up, and it is the problem of water, that the snow is less, so we have less water. So what do you do for the temperature? What we have done for the water, we have changed all the system of irrigation into drip irrigation. We go all the way to study the terroir, the soils, and in addition to that, we measure the humidity in every vine, so to make sure that when you go into below a level of humidity, then you trigger the drip irrigation, and you use exactly the amount of water you need. So we have reduced 50% the usage of water from the water we used to use before. From the temperature perspective, you have to go in altitude. You replace latitude by altitude. So you go every 100 meters you go in Argentina is like 1 Celsius. And it is incredible. When we started, we were the first to go in 1,000, 1,200, and 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 1,600. And all these altitudes, 25 years ago, wouldn't be in places where the vines would have frozen. And today, it is not the case anymore. So we have changed the orientation of the vineyards to make sure that we go east to west, east to west, east to west, to reduce radiation and to assure a better canopy temperature. So there is a lot of measures. We put the net to protect from radiation and also protect from the hails. And there is a big culture of sustainability at all levels of the company, because we understand that we're very privileged to have what we have, but we're very threatened by the progress of temperatures and the reduction of water. So we are afraid of what? Yes, there are risks. There is a very important, and this is happening almost everywhere, these very significant storms and climatic accidents. It's not just about warm, but it can be also very cold. We have big frost, and so the extremes are there, more present, and also insects and diseases. So we are using several measures, many of them which are used in biodynamic. We are organic, we work with organic fertilizers. We do mechanical weeding to just assure that the roots are going to go into deeper to get fresher reaction. And this is amazingly the same we do in Champagne. So Champagne, which is also impacted by these storms and more a kind of climatic accidents, some kind of insects that can arrive. What are we doing in Krug? Krug is a house that was founded in 1848. It's the youngest house of the group Moet Hennessy. Moet Hennessy is leader in Cognac and in Champagne. So both are based on nature. So absolutely committed to nature. All our vineyards, not only Krug, but all the vineyards of all our houses in Champagne has certified double certification, sustainable development, and high environmental quality. In the case of Krug, what we are doing is we are zero herbicide. We have achieved, this was one big project. We have achieved it already. We do all the mechanical work, but the tractors are electrical to make sure that we don't add more CO2. And what we are trying to do is to work in a way that the roots go close to the chalk. Because the chalk has the particularity in Champagne that it absorbs the water and it would just give it gradually to the plant. So there is a lot of activities. We are natural fertilizers, and we are absolutely clear in the importance of keeping our vineyards and keeping our vineyards healthy, because Champagne, as you know, is a very small territory. We have 30,000 hectares, and it is the base of what we have. It was the base also of what Joseph Krug, who is the founder of the House of Krug, saw. And there is a little book he wrote with all his philosophy. We had the good luck of finding it in 2010. I arrived in Krug in 2009. We were a little lost. We didn't know really very well why we existed. And this is something very important that I would add to everyone. We have to understand the why we exist to be able to evolve. There is such an evolution today. Things are going so fast. We have to take responsibility on so many things, and warming climate is one of them. And the only way to be able to evolve is understanding the why. So in the year 2010, we went deep into the roots of the house to understand the why, and we find the importance that was there already for Joseph Krug of the elements. The elements are the plots. So in the House of Krug, we follow every plot individually. There is one wine for every plot. And so we understand with different elements that we have built in the last years, as is Black Book, all is digitalized. We can follow all we do in the vineyards. We can follow through tastings that we do with our growers. So the growers, they work for us, and they come with us to taste the result of their work, plot by plot. And this is all very useful because this is encouraging them to work differently. As a matter of fact, we have also brought together our growers in a collective certification, because we understand that for them individually may be too expensive, so the philosophy of the house is bring them together, and in a collective certification to bring them into a next level of sustainable development, which is incredible, and this is part of the fact that we work with them because we have elected them, is that they have been immediately approved because their practices are all practices that are perfectly aligned with the environmental practices and with the global warming practices. So we are very happy to have our growers with us. We have 20% is our hectares and 80% is theirs. And so we understand our responsibility to support and help our growers as well as our teams in the company. And just to take you through what Moet Hennessy does, we don't stop. In 1958, we went for the first time. It was Moet and Chandon that went to Argentina, where nobody knew and thought that Argentina could be what it is today. I had the pleasure of leading the transformation of an industry that went from a local industry into a global industry. And recently, since 2008, we started to look for the right place in China. And we have a beautiful property in the Mekong Valley in Hunan province, which is totally, the ecosystem is totally closed. We work with the villagers. We have all the same practices. We have 28 hectares, but we have 700 subplots, the same way we have the subplots in Mendoza, and the same way we can have a subplot in Champagne because the plot is too large, like the Clos de Menil. We separate it into 5 subplots. So philosophy is about the same, but practices are different, and we are learning from everywhere. And these practices are shared, and because Moet Hennessy follows the philosophy of LVMH, which is respect for every individual house, it is very recent, 4 years ago, that the president of Hennessy, who is the most mature house in the group, in our division, invited all technicians to come together to bring all practices, and I am a sponsor of this team, and since 4 years, we are together to share, to bring the practice, to define a vision, to define common goals for the future of Moet Hennessy and of their houses, always respecting the individuality of every house. Every house is going to go into it according to the maturity, to the circumstances, but always enormously supported with a clear vision on the fact that we need to go into a total attitude and culture of sustainability, and we have to understand the impact of global warming and take care of it very seriously. And I'd like to conclude by saying that I started working when I was quite young, many, many years ago, because I wanted to give. And there is no way you give if you don't have. So you have to work to have and to give. And global warming is a call to give. It is what I have always admired in leadership, is this social conscience. If you're a good leader, you have to have social conscience. And you have social conscience, you will take global warming very seriously. Thank you very much.